Walking 1,000 kilometers in 40 days. That was the goal. This year I made a big decision, a necessary decision to put myself first, to prioritize my own health, to take a very long overdue break. How long does it take to recover from burnout? In my experience, always twice as long as you want it to, or twice as long as you think you can afford. It really depends on how long the burnout has been building up for, and if it's the accumulation of years of stress, then it may take several months or even years to fully reset. So, this year I made a decision. I will take 4 months off. That's a lot, right? At least that's what I thought. I just hope it will be enough to reset my brain after several years of struggling to get by. Do you find life too busy? There are so many things to do, so many things to worry about, to track, to mentally remember, to be responsible for. For me, it's not necessarily the level of responsibility that's the problem, it's the sheer volume of tiny little things that seem important and trying to keep track of all of them at the same time. That's what tends to fry my brain. So, I'm taking 4 months off, and I'm starting by walking 6 weeks on the Camino de Santiago. Why? The answer is very simple. Well, actually, the answer is because life on the Camino is very simple. Wake up, walk, stop when you're hungry or tired. At least that's how I remember it when I walked the Camino Frances 10 years ago. A typical day would consist of waking up early, maybe 6 or 7 a.m., packing my stuff, and just starting to walk. First chance I get, I'd stop for a coffee and tortilla, and then another hour or two of walking before lunch. Maybe a bocadillo or Spanish sandwich is often the easiest. Then another hour or two of walking after lunch, and that's 20 to 30 kilometers already for the day. When I find a nice place to stay or just can't be bothered walking anymore, I'd find a cheap albergue, usually 10 to 20 euro per night. They'd give me a simple bed in a dorm and access to a shower and somewhere to wash my clothes. I'm only carrying about 8 kilograms in total on my back, so there's no room for extra sets of clothes. 1 to wear, 1 to wash, and 1 spare just in case, which meant that I washed my clothes by hand every day and then hoped they dried by the next morning. But after all that was finished, now what? It's 4 p.m. in the afternoon, my legs are wrecked from a day's walking, I've sorted food, I have a place to sleep, I've washed my clothes. There is nothing else to do except rest. It's a bit tough psychologically to stop and rest. I want to do something productive, but there's nothing. And then it hits me. Rest is part of the process. Sitting in the sun doing nothing for several hours every day is part of the process of walking to Santiago. So that was my memory from last time. This Camino was a bit different. Firstly, I started earlier in the year, mid-May instead of mid-June, and I decided to walk a week in France before arriving in Spain. That first week was wet and cold and lonely. My first night I was literally the only person in my albergue. I slowly met others on the road, but it wasn't nearly the easy communal experience I remembered. Also, the road itself was really tough. Up and down through the mountains in ankle-deep mud. I nearly quit in the first week. But eventually I made it to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, the end of my first week and the start of my Camino 10 years ago. This time, however, I took a different route. I took the train up to Bayonne on the coast, and from there walked all along the Camino Norte route. The ocean was nice, but similarly lonely for a while. Slowly though, I met more and more pilgrims from more and more countries, and I slowly learned to let go and enjoy myself. The best days were when I walked only 15 or 20 kilometers and then went for a swim in the ocean. Eventually though, the path moved inland. I said goodbye to the ocean and started along the Camino Primitivo route. Here I was running out of energy. The way was hard and I'd spent every night of the last month in a new bed in a new city every night. So I slowed down, I enjoyed myself a little more, and then unfortunately got food poisoning which laid me up for 2 days. Absolutely not fun. I was tired, I was reaching the end of my time, and the kilometers I was going to have to do in order to make it to Santiago on time were getting more and more by the day. 30 kilometers a day? Sure, I can probably do that. 40 kilometers a day? That's a lot. 50 kilometers a day? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, I probably could physically if I really needed to, but why? What's the point of walking? Well, my goal of walking was to take a break, to reset with a simple life. So I decided not to finish. I decided not to go all the way to Santiago, and instead I stopped walking in Lugo, about 100 kilometers before the finish line. And from there I took a bus to A Coruña and had my first real rest day, spending 2 nights in the one place. That day on the beach was one of my best yet. So did I make 1,000 kilometers in 6 weeks? Well, almost. I'll have to add up all the days, but I'm pretty sure it would be at least 900, probably less than 1,000. But the important bit for me is that I was able to literally forget what day of the week it is most of the time. Back home, I track my time so precisely I can tell you what I'll be doing in 5 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day, 2 p.m. next Tuesday. It's a massive executive function load to constantly be tracking what I'm doing and what I'm planning to do next. So I gave my brain a break, and it's definitely feeling better. We'll still need to wait and see if 4 months is going to be enough, but it's definitely a good start, and when I get home, I will not be the same. Hopefully, I'll be clear on a list of changes to better manage my everyday life and avoid burnout next time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters helping to make taking a break financially viable. If you'd like more details of this trip, including updates and photos from every day of the Camino, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month. So thanks again for coming on this journey with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.